For thee, my lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand, that our feet may swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow a river forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be. Nomine Patri et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
Hey guys, Shlomo here. Today's Sunday sermon is actually coming from Genesis 39. It's a familiar passage. This one's just more about in the wake of Me Too, especially with the Brett Kavanaugh hearing and all. Now Joseph has been taken down to Egypt. Potiphar, an Egyptian who was one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard, brought him from the Ishmaelites who took him there. The Lord was with Joseph so that he prospered, and that he lived in the house that was his Egyptian master. And when the master saw the Lord was with him, and everything the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in the eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of the household. He entrusted his care to everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of the household, all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was the everything that Potiphar had, both the house and the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. When Joseph was in charge, he did not seem concerned with himself, with anything except the food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome, and after a while the master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, "Come to bed with me," but he refused. "With me in charge," he told her, "my master does not concern himself with anything that is in the house. Everything he owns has been entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you. Because you are his wife, how could I go and do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" And though she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her and even be with her. One day he went into the house and attended his duties. None of the household servants were inside. She grabbed him by the cloak and said, "Come to bed with me." But he left his cloak in her hand and ran out the house. When she saw he left his cloak in her hand and ran out the house, she called her household servants. "Look," she said, "this Hebrew has been brought to us to make sport of us. He came here to sleep with me, but I screamed." When he heard the scream for help, he took his cloak beside me and ran out the house. She kept his cloak beside her until his master came home. And then she told him this story. "The Hebrew slave you brought to us came to me, make sport of me, but as soon as I screamed for help, he left his cloak beside me and ran out the house." When his master heard the story, his wife told him, saying, "This is how your slave treated me." He burned with anger. Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, in the place where the king's prisoners were confined. And yeah, not reading the entire chapter, but it's just the gist of it. Now I know a lot of MGTOW men out there, or at least a lot of red pill men out there aren't Christians, but you can at least look at the red pill wisdom the Bible has to offer. This is just a classical Me Too. Woman claims sexual assault even though she was the perpetrator. Even though Joseph was just to die, he was in the bad position. He was a literal slave. And even though he was a literal slave, he's just trying to get his work done. So much so that his work was so good that he was actually promoted to be head of everything except his master's wife. So got to the point to where women will always looking to just swing. Well, even if they're at the top ranch, women will always want to try to ride the cock carousel. Even in ancient times. It's just up to a man to say no. And unfortunately, it could end in a Me Too accusation. But Joseph still had the right idea. Even though he was a slave, he did the best he could and tried to cut her out of his life. He actively tried to avoid her to the point to where their only interactions were just necessary. So, biblical wisdom is just be necessary. Alright, hey guys, that's going to be it for today. I'm not feeling well. That's why I'm doing this on Monday instead of Sunday. I'm just feeling the weather. I've actually lost hearing in one ear. But you guys just take care and be wise, my guys. Shlomo out.